Oh, hello. My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Okay guys, time for an October haul, and when I was going through my books I realized that there's definitely a mysterious / ooky spooky theme happening here. Not that unusual considering how much I like mysteries in general, but we definitely have some representation of that in this particular haul. So we'll start with the non-creepy / the non-mysterious stuff and then work our way back to some creepy vibes. So let's start with a few books that I have already read, but that I wanted to get in physical form. Okay, so I've got 3 of those. So the first is the book that was my favorite book of September, my favorite read, which was Quit Like a Millionaire by Kristy, Shen, and Bryce Leung. They are a husband and wife who worked for 10 years and then were able to retire. They are big voices in the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, I think is what that stands for. And this was a really significant book to me in terms of sort of helping me think through some decisions I've been trying to make about how to structure some of my investment and retirement plans. So I wanted to have a physical copy to refer to and to mark up. So definitely recommend this one, and definitely wanted to have it in physical form to, facilitate my evil plans to retire in my 40s. And then I have 2 romances, both of which are independently published, and you guys know when I can, I like to support authors in that way. So first is The Midnight Bride by Kati Wilde. And this is a fantasy barbarian romance. I really enjoyed this particular series, which is called the Deadlands series. Lots of very subverted gender dynamic things happening, as well as just like some campy fun. This also has the best scene of a dude going downtown that I've ever read, and led to him being incapacitated. Do with that what you will. And then Kissing Galileo, another great example of something that is subverting gender dynamics or sort of normal ways that, kind of heroes versus heroines are portrayed in romance novels. So I really like this one a lot. Penny Reid, I really enjoy in general her contemporaries, and I really like this one. So those are the 3 ones that I basically bought in physical form because I'd read them, either borrowed them or read them in my ebook form and wanted them as a physical copy. Then a few random ones, basically 2 arcs, and then one that I just bought in physical form, because I don't think last month I showed you that I got a copy of The Wallflower Wager by Tessa in hardback form. I decided to go ahead and grab this because I have the Duchess deal in hardback, and I was deciding if I was going to buy the ebook or if I was going to get a physical copy. I decided to go ahead and get a physical copy. While there is a shirtless dude on the front of this particular one, I find that the Tessa covers like this are more on the tasteful side, so they don't bother me as much. It's actually really very sweet and pretty, and I love Tessa. So excited to have that. And then 2 arcs. So first I got The Stars We Steal by Alexa Donne. I got this from the author when I was at BookNet Fest. She had some copies and she was kind enough to provide one to me. She describes this as Jane Austen meets The Bachelor in space. Do I need to say more? That sounds rad. It's YA fantasy, or no, not fantasy, sorry, YA sci-fi. I'm really excited to get to this. I believe this comes out in February. Yes, February of next year. So that's exciting. And then I won a copy, an arc of Something That May Shock and Discredit You by Daniel Mallory Ortberg. I really, I've read both of his previous books when he was writing under Mallory Ortberg, enjoyed both of those. And then I really love him on the Dear Prudence podcast. So this is a book of personal essays, and I think this will be really interesting. So I was excited to win that from Goodreads, actually. So thank you, Atria Books, for making that contest available. Excited to get to this. This is also February, I believe. Yes, this is also February of next year. Okay, and then let's talk about additions to my collection. So first, I have 3 new Every Man's Pocket Classic Library editions. What are they called? What's the official party line on what these are called? Every Man's Library Pocket Poets. There you go. So I got 3, and I'm very excited about all of them because 2 of these are poets that I really like, and the other is just like a novelty excitement. So first I got Alexander Pope's collection. I think 1700-ish was when he was writing. Good poet, good dude. I'm into it. Then I also got the Coleridge collection, who I actually really love his theology and his philosophy, even more than his poetry, but his poetry is what he's best known for. And deservedly so, because yeah, he's pretty great. And then this I guess could go into the ooky spooky theme of this particular haul, but they have a book of poems of murder and mayhem called Killer Verse, and I was reading through a few of these and they're really fun. They have some like murder ballads, I think, that were probably from back in the day, some like verse noir, ones that are about psycho killers, victims, meditations on murder, etc. So I just thought this was a super seasonally appropriate and fun one, so when I saw price drop on it, I went ahead and scooped it up. Then continuing with my Everyman's Library theme here, I got a red spine and a black spine this month. So first, the red spine is a bind up of Dashiell Hammett stuff, and I mostly got this for the Maltese Falcon, but this also has the Thin Man and Red Harvest. This is really one of the only kind of noir type mysteries that I like very much. So I was excited when I realized that there was a red spined version. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I want that. So I went ahead and picked that up. And then I also picked up Liaisons Dangereuses by, I always struggle with this, but Choderlos de Laclos. Maybe? I'm not sure on how to say that dude's name, but I really love Dangerous Liaisons. The movie is amazing, but the book is also really interesting and like, yeah, it's an interesting reading experience that I recommend. So anyway, I noticed that they had a black spine edition for Everyman's Library, so I went ahead and grabbed this from Book Depository. Then, most excitingly, there was not one, but two new entries into Penguin Clothbound Classics since last we spoke, and these are both two of the most beautiful covers, honestly, I think, in the entire collection, and one of them I'm gonna say is a top 3 favorite cover. So first, Tales from 1001 Nights, which, you know, is just a collection of, I believe, Arabian, basically, folk tales. And I mean, this is just so beautiful, like all the blue and the navy and the ships. I love this. And you know, several of the more recent entries into the collection, I think, have had this sort of design sensibility in terms of sort of these rounded repeating patterns, like really big, bold pattern over the whole thing. I think this is really beautiful and effective, but my personal new favorite is Sanditon by Jane Austen. I absolutely love this one. This is probably a top 3. I'd say this, that Don Quixote one, and then It's Out of Frame, but the Odyssey by Homer are probably my 3 favorites. But this is just so, like, this evokes the beach, like the beachside town of this so effectively. I absolutely love this bright yellow with the sort of like soft sky blue. Oh, I just think this is so beautiful. So I was so delighted to add this to my collection. I got this also from Book Depository. Always an exciting time when there's new Penguin Clothbounds coming in. I've pre-ordered a bunch of the new philosophy classics that she's gonna have coming out, I think, in the beginning of next year as well, but very excited to get this. And then actually, before I move into the full-on ooky spooky, let's do this gift that was from my cousin. So she was studying abroad in Australia, and I guess the original blinddatewithabook.com is in Australia. It is at Elizabeth's Bookshop, since 1973, and it's like the original home of Blind Date with a Book. So I thought that was just such a thoughtful gift, knowing me very well. So the clues on this are across the continents, 3 generations, culture, beliefs, family, love. And yeah, I guess this actually does play into my mystery theme here pretty well, because it is a mystery to me what this book is. So let's see if we can figure it out. I'm trying not to mess the paper up too much, but maybe I need to. What is this? Okay, I have literally never heard of this book before. It is called The Pleasure Seekers by Tishani Doshi. Madras, 1968. Babu Patel becomes the first of the Patel family to fly on a plane all the way to London to further his education. Babu is in his crisp white kurta pajama, his fingernails cut and filed, his hair glistening with the coconut oil that his mother has lavishly anointed while listing the temptations that he must resist while he is away: meat, alcohol, tobacco, and most importantly, women. But Babu plunges headlong into his new life and headlong into love with cream-skinned Welsh girl Sion. Sean, maybe? It's S-I-A-N, and I'm always a little not great on the Celtic pronunciation of these things. But back in Madras, and with the arrival of their children, Mayuri and Bean, both families must accept that nothing can ever be the same again. The Patel Joneses navigate their way through the 20th century as a hybrid family, teetering between the hustle and bustle of Babu's relatives and the faraway phone line crackle of Cheyenne's, Sean's, I'm not sure. This sounds like a really interesting story. I'm not sure that this is totally my gig. Like, I tend to be a little on sort of like just straight up family dramas and literary fiction, but I don't know, I may give this a try. But I think that this is absolutely beautiful. It accomplished the goal of Blind Date with a Book, which is to give you something unexpected that you wouldn't pick up for yourself, and just all in all, a lovely present from my cousin while she was studying abroad. So I very much am glad to have this, and we'll see what happens with it. But with that, that's the first mysterious thing that we have happening in this haul. So let me get into all of the isolated closed circle mysteries I picked up this month. Okay, so now we've got 6 books that are either isolated closed circles or isolated closed circle adjacent mysteries. So let's just run through here. First, we have Dancing with Death, Lady Lupin is Called When a Christmas House Party Turns Deadly by Joan Coggin. So I think that this is a Christmas country house isolated closed circle mystery that I've seen pop up on a couple of lists when I was doing my research. So we've got that. I think this is from maybe like let's see here, 1947. So this is more of like on the classic end. Then I have The Corpse with the Diamond Hand by Cathy Ace. And this is an isolated closed circle mystery where they are on a cruise ship to Hawaii and people start dying. I think that this might be more on the cozy end, but I have a few of these ones that are set on a boat. So I thought that this would be a good one to round out that little theme that I will have going in my isolated closed circle mystery reviews here soon. Then I have 2 YA ones that I've had people recommend to me based on describing this trope that I've been looking for. I think this one in particular, there's not actually a death. There may or may not be in this one, but there's at least a mystery, and there's like the we're all stuck at a hotel or at a party aspect. So GREENGLASS House by Kate Milford, I believe, is that they are all snowed in together at a remote hotel, and I think someone starts dying, or there starts to be something mysterious if nothing else. And this, I think actually both of these are middle grade. So this one is Poison Is Not Polite by Robin Stevens, which is a Wells and Wong mystery. This one, they are at a tea party, and I think nobody dies in this one, if I'm remembering rightly from the back of the description, but yeah, but it's another middle grade one. So at some point I'll do a children's or like a middle grade or YA themed one for those reviews. So I thought both of those would be good for that. And then these other 2 mysteries, neither of these I think are strictly isolated closed circle mysteries, but they are definitely adjacent. So first, Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I think that this is sort of in the like haunted house end of like the house has you trapped there, which again isn't quite, it's not a whodunit, but I think it has some of the same sort of atmosphere, vibes, and thrills of having an isolated closed circle mystery. So I've seen good reviews on this one. So this actually, I think, is something I'm going to try to read in October, just because it has sort of a horror vibe happening. And then I shamelessly guilted Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany into bringing me her copy of this because at the time she wasn't necessarily enjoying it that much. So she brought this to me at Book Nav Fest. And this is called The Escape Room. And basically this is an isolated closed circle mystery-ish because they are doing an escape room. And then I think someone starts dying and they have to figure out who actually died in the escape room. So I think that will be pretty darn mysterious if nothing else, and is a cool premise. Okay, and then the last pile here are all books that I think are kind of like ooky, spooky, scary, creepy to one degree or another. Actually, a lot of these are YA, which makes sense because I'm somebody who doesn't tend to like my horror or my creepy to be full on. I kind of like it cut with something. In this case, just like the age range, knowing that's not going to get too real. But first I've got Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahern. And this is one where there's like a future society, I think. There's like witches and then there's Christians basically, and there's like a marriage of convenience, but like there's witches and there's magic, and I love a marriage of convenience trope. I've also heard that though this is sold as YA, it's much more like new adult in terms of the heat level, which I think will probably be good for me. It'll give me more of like I think this is going to be like a fantasy romance kind of vibe. So I'm excited for that. I pre-ordered this one. The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This was my YA Book of the Month Club pick. I am an affiliate. I've got all that information listed below in case you're interested, but I am very excited about this. This was a book I had on pre-ordered and was able to cancel once I realized this was going to be one of the picks. And it is a murder mystery with vampires, set in New Orleans, paranormal, YA, mystery. That sounds rad. I'm glad vampires are kind of making a little bit of a comeback, I think, in YA, and I'm very excited to get to this one. Then at BookNet Fest, there was a book swap, so you could bring a book and then take a book. I brought a book. I brought 1222, and I got an original, like an ARC copy of The Raven Boys. Now, I was just excited because I've always wanted to read The Raven Boys. It's intrigued me. I'm into the whole like Welsh king mystery element of this. I've heard it's very atmospheric, but people were very excited when I told them that it was an ARC. So this is from back in September 2012. So if I don't end up loving this, I think I know who I'm going to send this to. If I end up absolutely loving it, I might just go ahead and keep it. But anyway, I'm excited to have a copy of this to finally get to it. Then I may have needed to talk about this one already because I don't know how really atmospheric or spooky this is, but Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I quite liked An Enchantment of Ravens. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it had a really nice parable-esque quality to it. And so since this one is, I really like the writing in particular, and this one is about like a librarian, a girl who's a librarian and has magic, and like that just sounds great. So yeah, not so much on the ooky spooky. I should have talked about this one already, but whatever. I'm a human and I made a mistake. But anyway, the last one definitely does have an ooky spooky vibe to it. It is also fantasy, but it is also, from what I can tell, at least part of it is an isolated closed circle mystery, which is exciting. So Gideon the Ninth is being described as lesbian necromancers in space, but from what I've heard, it also needs to append onto that, and they're all trapped together and have to figure out who's the murderer. So I'm excited to get to this. I don't think this is gonna happen in October, but I'm hoping before the end of the year I can read this one. I also love that the edges are black sprayed. I think that was a nice touch. And yeah, this is a necromancer, so definitely has the ooky spooky creepy vibe to it. So yeah, that was my haul for October. Like I said, kind of noticed a creepy vibe to it, so we went with that theme. But yeah, a lot of great books that I'm really excited about, a lot of entries into collections and just general, just like, I love the books. I love it when they come into my life. I'm happy to have all of them. So definitely stay tuned to see what I think about some of them. I'm gonna definitely be reading a few of these in my October TBR plans. So I should have some thoughts about some of these by the end of the month. But anyway, let me know if you got any books recently that you're really excited about, or if you have any creepy books that you're hoping to read for October. But yeah, I think that will do it for now for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that that will do it. I hope you guys are having an absolutely lovely day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye.